A very good evening and welcome to the news at 6, where we can catch the top developing stories of the day. Let's start with the headlines. CBI Special Court acquits all the accused in the 2G spectrum allocation case. Judge O.P. Saini says the prosecution has failed to prove any charge against any of the accused. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh reacts to the verdict, says court has unambiguously put the rest to the propaganda against UPA. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley reminds Congress that Supreme Court had quashed its first-come, first-served policy on 2G spectrum. Rajya Sabha witnesses yet another day of protests. Opposition Congress seeks Prime Minister's clarification on election remarks against Manmohan Singh. Chairman says House will not go into merits of the case. And in a veiled reference to Pakistan and China during the United Nations discussion, India says some members fail to understand the common threat of terrorism and have narrow political and strategic concerns. Protests by the opposition Congress led to adjournment of proceedings in Rajya Sabha for a second consecutive day on Thursday. The Congress continued its demand for an explanation from Prime Minister Modi for his alleged remarks against his predecessor Manmohan Singh. The protests stole 0 hour in question hour. Here are the details.
Stalemate between the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress over remarks made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi against his predecessor Manmohan Singh persisted in the upper house on Thursday. Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad demanded a clarification from the Prime Minister on this issue.
एक तो जो उन्होंने मनमोहन सिंह जी के और दूसरे बारे में उन्होंने इलेक्शन में बताया था, उसको मैं बार-बार दोहराना नहीं चाहता, उसको स्पष्टीकरण कहना चाहिए, करना चाहिए.
As the Congress members persisted with their demand, Chairman N. Venkaiah Naidu urged the agitating members to uphold the dignity of the House.
Friends, let me make it very clear that I have not given permission for suspension of question hour or to raise this matter in the 0 hour also. It is only with my consent that any member can raise any issue. No permission has been given.
The chairman also reminded the members that he had intervened to forge a truce between the two sides through internal discussions.
विषय का गंभीरता को समझ के मैंने खुद सुझाव दिया, आपसे बात किया, गुलाम नबी से बात किया, लीडर हाउस से बात किया, एक बीच का रास्ता, एक रीजनेबल रास्ता मैंने बताया. आप लोगों ने इसको अपनाना नहीं, मैं क्या करूं? I will go by the rules. The rules, your motion is not allowed at all. So please follow the chair, follow the rules and respect the democratic principles.
However, since there was no let-up in the Congress's protest, the chair adjourned the House till 2 p.m. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
The House is adjourned to 2 p.m. today.
Well, the upper house of parliament was also adjourned for the day soon after it assembled in post-lunch session as Congress members again raised the issue of the Prime Minister's remarks. A discussion on the right to play and the future of sports in India could also not be taken up before the House was adjourned.
When the House assembled at 2 p.m, Congress members reiterated their demand for the Prime Minister's explanation over his remarks against former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Amid the din, the chairman informed the members about the time allotted for legislative business.
I have to inform the members that the Business Advisory Committee in its meeting held on 21st December has allotted time for government legislative and other business as follows. Consideration and passing of the Central Road Fund Bill 2017 as passed by the Lok Sabha, 2.5 hours. Further consideration and passing of the Whistleblower Protection Bill, Amendment Bill as passed by Lok Sabha, 4 hours. Consideration and passing of the Prevention of Corruption Bill 2013 as reported by the Senate Committee of the Rajya Sabha. That will be discussed together along with this.
As the Congress members continued to protest, Chairman N. Venkaiah Naidu again urged them to uphold the dignity of the House and not defy the established traditions.
ये पद्धति नहीं है. ये honorable member who has been awarded Bharat Ratna by the government, he want to make a submission on sports, which is a very important activity for the country. Please follow the rules. थोड़ा मर्यादा रखिए, उनको सुनिए, आप में से जिन्होंने नाम लिया वो भी बोलिए. ये अच्छा पद्धति नहीं है, इससे कुछ होने वाला नहीं है.
As the protest continued, nominated member Sachin Tendulkar could not initiate a short-duration discussion on right to play and the future of sports in India. The chair then adjourned the House till Friday. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Proceedings in Lok Sabha were also disrupted for the fourth day in a row. Congress members created an uproar demanding time to raise the issue of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks against Manmohan Singh during the election rally in Gujarat. After Speaker Sumitra Mahajan turned down their demand, all Congress members present in the House staged a walkout.
Protests in Lok Sabha continued for the fourth straight day as members of the Congress party upped the ante over the issue of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks against his predecessor Manmohan Singh. Opposition members trooped into the well, raising slogans during the question hour. Amid the din, Civil Aviation Minister Ashok Gajpati Raju informed the House that the government has given in-principle approval for 19 greenfield airports. He added that some of these airports would be developed through the public-private partnership.
Under the UDAN scheme, 31 airports which were unconnected are likely to be connected, out of which I think 14 have already started functioning. So that's good news. The rest will come in. And UDAN, second phase of UDAN, which is right now that exercise is going on, I think about 41 underserved and unserved airports are likely to get connected. So in a way, 75 airports since independence, the NDA government under the leadership of Narendra Modi, 80 airports in sight. So this is a fantastic achievement.
Responding to a query during question hour, Water Resources Minister Nitin Gadkari stressed on the need to promote water conservation. He called upon the elected MPs to work towards making water conservation a public movement.
अगर मुझे किसी ने पूछा कि देश की सबसे बड़ी समस्या कौन सी है, तो मैं कहूँगा पानी की समस्या है। आवश्यकता है इसके लिए जो इंडस्ट्री के लिए पानी मिलता है, उसमें रिसाइकलिंग वाटर जो है उसको यूज़ करने के लिए प्रायोरिटी देनी चाहिए, ताकि हम लोग उसके कारण जो अच्छा पानी है उसको यूज़ करने की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। किसानों के लिए एनओसी की बात हमने निकाल दी है, पर इसके साथ साथ हमने एक योजना तैयार की है जो वर्ल्ड बैंक के सहयोग से करने के लिए हमारा प्रयास है। अटल भूजल योजना ये 6000 करोड़ की है और अभी हमने फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर के अप्रूवल के लिए सबमिट की है। इसमें कल्पना ये है कि एग्जिस्टिंग ब्रिज को हम बंधारा में बना सकते हैं क्या, हम रबर डैम बना सकते हैं क्या, उसके साथ साथ कुछ जगह पर हम लोग वहाँ नई टेक्नोलॉजी सक्सेसफुल प्रैक्टिसेस जो वर्ल्ड में है वो सब लाकर वाटर कंजर्वेशन का काम हम कैसा कर सकते हैं।
Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad also moved a bill to hike the salaries of judges of the Supreme Court and the 24 High Courts. With inputs from Ravindra Shoran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Yes. The President of Mali's High Court of Justice, Abdurrahmane Niang, today met Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu in the Parliament House. Abdurrahmane was accompanied by two other members of Parliament of Mali, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, P.J. Kurian, the Secretary General, Deshdeepak Verma, and other dignitaries were also present on the occasion. Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu expressed happiness over his meeting with the Mali delegation and also thanked them for supporting India on various platforms. Voting was held on Thursday for bypolls in 5 assembly constituencies spread over 4 states. The 5 states are R.K. Nagar in Tamil Nadu, Sikandra in Uttar Pradesh, Sabang in West Bengal, and Pakikasang and Likabali in Arunachal Pradesh. The spotlight is on the high-profile R.K. Nagar bypoll in Tamil Nadu, which also took place amid heavy security. The seat fell vacant after the death of late AIADMK chief J. Jayalalitha. It is a triangular contest for the seat between the ruling AIADMK's E. Madhusudanan, sidelined AIADMK leader T.T.V. Dinakaran, who is contesting as an independent, and DMK's N. Marudu Ganesh. The counting of votes for all 5 constituencies will take place on the 24th of December, and results will be announced on the same day. Now, days after the Gujarat verdict, State Congress leader Alpesh Thakur met party president Rahul Gandhi in Delhi on Thursday. Accompanied by his wife, the young Congress leader met the newly appointed Congress chief at his residence. After the meeting, Alpesh said that Rahul Gandhi is happy that the party gave a tough fight to the BJP in Gujarat. He said the next target now is to strengthen the party base in the state and work towards winning the 2019 Lok Sabha polls.
भैया खुश थे, बोले अच्छी फाइट दी हम लोगों ने। आने वाले वक्त के अंदर अब लोकसभा हमारी डेस्टिनी है। लोकसभा इलेक्शन आ रहा है, उसके लिए संगठन को मजबूत करेंगे, पार्टी को मजबूत करेंगे।
In more national news, at least 5 persons were killed and 10 injured in a boiler blast at a sugar factory in Bihar's Gopalganj region. The reason for the blast is not yet known. The police is investigating to ascertain the reason behind the incident. The owner was arrested along with his 2 sons. Taking serious note of the incident, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar announced compensation for 4 lakh rupees for the victim's family. The Chief Minister also ordered a high-level inquiry into the incident.
ये फैक्ट्री में पहले ही से फॉल्ट चलता है, लेकिन फिर भी मिल मालिक बनवाता नहीं है। बहुत आदमी से बहुत शिकायत करते हैं, किसी से भी पूछ लीजिए, कोई वर्कर भी हो, किसी से पता कीजिए। इतना फॉल्ट है, हर साल मिल चलने से मिल 10 दिन चलता है, उसके बाद कोई फॉल्ट हो जाता है। हर साल एनी टाइम 20 हमेशा ऐसा ही होता है। इस बार देखिए ऐसा हादसा हुआ है, ऐसा हादसा कभी हुआ नहीं था।
जो भी इंजर्ड है उनका इलाज चल रहा है। बाकी यहाँ पे पूरी प्रशासनिक टीम, पुलिस की टीम और जनप्रतिनिधि लोग सभी यहाँ हम लोग उपस्थित हैं। स्थिति सामान्य है और नियंत्रण में है। 3 लोगों को हम लोगों ने गिरफ्तार किया है।
And here's a quick look at what else made news across the country today and nationwide. The Supreme Court rejected a plea seeking a ban on liquor across the country. The apex court also found no merit in the petition and imposed a fine of 1 lakh rupees on the petitioner, who claimed that the use of liquor has caused deaths, health problems, rise in the crime graph and financial losses. Air pollution soared in Delhi on Thursday, prompting the Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority to write to the states in the region to gear up for another round of action under the emergency category. The EPCA also directed states to intensify ground-level action to tackle the haze covering the region. Meanwhile, cold wave tightened its grip across North India. In Uttar Pradesh, people lit bonfires on roadsides and heaters installed in enclosures of zoo inmates. In Delhi, trains were reported to be running late due to the dense fog. The temperature in Punjab and Haryana stayed a few notches above normal in most parts, while in Jammu and Kashmir, the fresh snowfall was recorded at twin resorts of Gulmarg and Pahalgam. A quick break here. More news follows in a bit. Stay with us.
The prolific British poet and story writer Joseph Rudyard Kipling, one of the first masters of short stories in English. In 1894 appeared his Jungle Book, which became a children's classic all over the world. Kim, the story of Kimball O'Hara and his adventures in the Himalayas, is perhaps his most felicitous work published. Set in and concerned with India he had come to know and love so well. In 1907, Kipling became the first English-language writer to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'll be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature, earth, water, air, fire and space make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Welcome back. A special court on Thursday acquitted former telecom minister A. Raja, lawmaker Kanimuri and all businessmen and executives accused of bribery in the 2G scam case. The two investigating agencies, CBI and the Enforcement Directorate, have said that they will now appeal the verdict.
Special court on Thursday acquitted former telecom minister A. Raja and DMK leader Kanimuri in the 2G spectrum scam case.
He said that I want to only read the operative portion, and he said that the prosecution has miserably failed to prove any of its charge, and the court had no hesitation in holding that, and all accused have been acquitted of the charges. Now it was a mountain out of a molehill. Now the question is, who will return the loss of reputation and the years for my clients?
Pronouncing the judgment, Special CBI Judge O.P. Saini said the prosecution has miserably failed to prove any charge against any of the accused in its charge sheet. The CBI charge sheet filed in April 2011 against Raja and others alleged a loss of 30,984 crore rupees to the exchequer in the allocation of 122 licenses for 2G spectrum. These 122 licenses were scrapped by the Supreme Court in February 2012.
I think the court's judgment has to be respected, and I'm glad that the court has pronounced unambiguously that all this massive propaganda which was being done against the UPA was without any foundation.
Reacting to the development, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said investigation agencies will take an appropriate decision on follow-up action on the verdict. He also rejected former Telecom Minister Kapil Sibal's zero-loss claim in the allocation, saying it was disproved by the subsequent allocation by the BJP-led NDA government that fetched 1.1 lakh crore rupees in 2015 and 66,000 crore rupees in 2016.
The Congress party leaders are treating this judgment as some kind of a badge of honor and a certification that the 2G allocation policy was an honest policy. The favorites had got bank drafts already prepared in the previous date to whom the policy had been leaked out. On basis of all this, in February 2012, the Supreme Court upheld this challenge and quashed this policy of first come, first serve or first come, first pay.
Those acquitted on Thursday included former Telecom Secretary Siddharth Behura, Raja's erstwhile Private Secretary R.K. Chandolia, sworn telecom promoters Shahid Usman Balwa and Vinod Goenka, Unitech Managing Director Sanjay Chandra and 3 top executives of the Reliance Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, Gautam Doshi, Surendra Pipara and Hari Nair. According to Judge Saini's verdict, there is no material on record to show A. Raja was the mother lode of conspiracy in the case. It held that no evidence was placed that indicated criminality by the accused on the fixation of cut-off date or even manipulation of first-come, first-served policy. The judge opined that non-understanding of issues led to a suspicion of grave wrongdoing where there was none. Aruna Thakur's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are some of the reactions to the 2G verdict.
इन्होंने पूरी दुनिया में यूपीए गवर्नमेंट को, प्रधानमंत्री को, मंत्रियों को बदनाम कर दिया झूठा प्रचार करके, और जिसकी वजह से भारतीय जनता पार्टी सत्ता में आई। इसके लिए इनको माफी मांगना चाहिए।
जो नीति 2001 में फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व की बनी थी, मुझे लगता है कि 2008 में उस नीति को भी बदला गया। 2001 की प्राइस पर 2008 में स्पेक्ट्रम दिए गए और वो फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व की जगह फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट पे बनाई गई। 2008 के ऑक्शन को लेकर के सीवीसी ने स्वयं जांच शुरू की थी और नीति को दोषपूर्ण माना था।
अब हमने कहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी सदन में आए और स्पष्टीकरण दें कि उन्होंने तो ये सरकार तो 2G के स्कैम के आधार पे बनी थी, इस मुद्दे पे ही इसे सरकार बनी थी कि यूपीए स्कैम से लिप्त है, और आज सिद्ध हो गया कि ये एक स्कैम ऑफ लाइज था, ये एक झूठ का स्कैम था विपक्ष की ओर से।
It is what I would call as an aberration, because the law officers were not serious about fighting corruption. And I would like the Prime Minister to take a lesson from this and set up a warlike council for fighting corruption.
This is court's verdict, and this is what Mr. A. Raja was telling. Every decision was taken collectively in consultation with senior colleagues, and he made that statement on the floor of the House. Now he stands vindicated.
We'll continue tracking developments on that front. Meanwhile, India indirectly targeted Pakistan and China during a United Nations discussion, saying that some members fail to understand the common threat of terrorism and have narrow political and strategic concerns. India's permanent representative to the UN, Syed Akbaruddin, said that terrorism is a common challenge which requires greater focus by this council and asked for an international cooperation. Syed Akbaruddin was participating in an open debate on addressing complex contemporary challenges to international peace and security on Wednesday in the UN Council. He was apparently referring to China's decision to repeatedly block a move by India to designate Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. Akbaruddin also pointed out that the UN-designated terrorist and Mumbai attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed was seeking to contest elections in Pakistan. However, China has rejected the assertion that the move to list Masood Azhar as a global terrorist were blocked out due to narrow political considerations, saying that it acted in a candid way over the issue based on rules and procedures. Now, in a high-level meeting between India and China, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Politburo member Yang Jiechi will review recent developments in bilateral relations in New Delhi on Friday. Both are special representatives of their respective governments and are tasked with resolving border issues. This is the 20th meeting of both the special representatives.
Officials from India and China will meet in New Delhi on Friday to discuss the border issues. The meeting, taking place at the invitation of India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, is being seen as significant since this is for the first time the two sides will sit face to face to discuss the issue after the Doklam standoff.
Nomenclature of the talks, that is very clear. Special representative talks on boundary issue. So I don't think it needs any further elaboration. So basically the discussion will be focused between the two SRs on the boundary issue. And we of course attach a lot of importance to this dialogue mechanism.
However, this is not the first time that the two sides are meeting. On December 10th, the foreign ministers of Russia, India and China had met in the national capital, with the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj also having a bilateral meeting with her Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Pakistan once again raised the Kashmir issue at the Security Council, and this time by linking it to the Palestinian crisis. Participating in an open debate at the UNSC, Pakistan's permanent representative to the UN, Maliha Lodhi, raised the issue and said that the challenges to international peace and security are intensifying at a time when the foundations of global order are fraying. Speaking ahead of the upcoming General Assembly emergency session on Jerusalem, Maliha Lodhi said, and I quote, "The Palestinian and Kashmiri people continue to suffer horrific human rights violations at the hands of occupying forces, while the world continues to watch without addressing these egregious situations," unquote. India has not responded to Lodhi's comments as yet. Maliha Lodhi's attempt comes after her last failed effort to raise the Kashmir issue at the UN when she held up the picture of an injured Palestinian girl claiming she was a Kashmiri. That's it on the news at 6. Thanks for joining us.